and welcome to the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast, episode 130. I'm your host, Aaron Breyer. I got Tyler McGurk with me here from also the T&B podcast here, brought to you here at Variety Sports Network. We got a big show for you again. We're going to go over a whole lot of different things here, different topics. We'll hit on a variety of things there. Tyler, how we're doing? We're joining you here early Easter Sunday. Hope everybody's out there having a good weekend. Hopefully everybody out there has a good Easter as well. Tyler, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Excited to see my family. Excited to see my in-laws. Easter's always a special holiday for me. I've always spent it with my cousins, and since we've gotten older, it's kind of moved away from that, and it's gotten even more tight-knit into the family, just the original six, and I'm excited to hang out with my family. How about you?
Well, it's always a nice little holiday. Sometimes you do get the Masters on CBS on a Sunday on there. It's kind of a different Masters this year with the rain going on, so we'll get into that a little bit as well. Always some baseball always going on in Easter as well, so always that along with the family doing that. So looking forward to doing that. Looking forward to getting into this with you as well. Wanted to thank my guy Terrell first over at Realism Sports. Appreciate him letting me jump in on Friday. We talked about a ton of football. We talked about NBA. He does a great job over there. I know you watch some of the podcasts. He's very, it's just kind of entertaining. Brandon was on with them as well. I don't know. I just thought it was really fun jumping on with them and just the conversations we got into and the enthusiasm. That's what I like about him.
The intensity, the energy he brings is just contagious, and it was fun to watch. It was hard to turn off. I had to go do something, but I was like, man, I could watch this guy all the time.
Yeah, it was fun. So hopefully maybe one of these times you can jump on with me as well there with him. I know he came on with me at Talking the Gridiron, so I told him we definitely got to get him back for that as well, for sure. So how to get into that? Tyler, let's get into this. We got a whole lot of topics we want to kind of touch on here today. Let's start with the one that's kind of, I guess, most on my mind right now. That's the Warriors, because today's the last day of the regular season. It's good the way they kind of set up, I guess, just soccer-esque, right? They got all the Eastern Conference teams playing at 10 o'clock. They got all the Western Conference teams playing at 12:30. Still kind of a lot of positioning on the line when you look at the conferences all the way around. You have, especially in the West, you have the Warriors. In their case, if they win, they could get as high as 5, right? If the Clippers lose today to the Phoenix, which I don't know if we want anyways. But if they lose, there's a chance they drop all the way to 9. And I know we don't want that either, because you want that week rest, even if you are playing Phoenix probably. So I don't know. How do you feel about this last day, maybe specifically for the Warriors? Let's just say, obviously they're playing Portland. Let's say they get the win, but how do we feel about that kind of scenario? Because you don't want the Warriors just to tank either, like fall into that. How do you feel about that?
The Warriors definitely need to win this game. They played well against the Kings. The Kings didn't play anybody last 2 nights ago. It's important. They need to get Wiggins ready, and the week off would just be an extra, or maybe not a week, half a week, however many days it is between the play-ins and the first round starting is just essential for Wiggins to get his legs under him, more practice, more playing with the team, more up and down in the gym, just getting his basketball legs back. And at this point, that's probably the most important thing after the win tonight against the Trailblazers. The Warriors are 17-point favorites on the road, which is a crazy stat considering how much they have sucked on the road all year. But
I said what matchup do you want them to have, though? Like we talked about Phoenix.
Oh, it's the Kings for sure. I'm at a point where if they were the 7, I would almost rather have them be the 7 than the 5, maybe, but not real. I would rather have the 5.
You'd rather play Memphis than Phoenix in the first round if it came push. But see, I don't want to play that game
sure.
with 1 game elimination.
No, exactly. Well, you get 2 games if you're the 7 seed, but you're right. I don't want to do that either. That's why I'd rather have the 5, live with the Suns. But the Suns are the worst matchup for them in the first round.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like the Warriors are built for that this year for me. They're not built to go like in a play-in game scenario for me. It seems like they're done, especially with the Wiggins thing too. I don't know. I just think all right, so let's kind of get into, I guess, where the Warriors kind of lay a little bit more here. So we're in the last game here. People are now starting to feel a little better about them getting a few wins. I'm still very suspect about the team overall, especially in a first-round matchup. I do feel better about a matchup against the Kings, like you said. But with that being said, there's just still so many question marks for me. There just hasn't been any consistency for this team. So, like, I don't know. Maybe in some ways Phoenix gets them more jacked up, but I just think it would wear them out too much long term.
Yeah, I agree. What are you like? They brought in Gary Payton. Gary Payton's looked good.
He's been playing pretty good.
There is a reason now. I see the reason why they brought him in. I still think it was a bad trade in the long run, but to bring him in for this run, he makes those cuts on the baseline. He can hit an open three, and he plays defense. So I like that he's on the roster. They've looked a lot better with him playing.
It's too bad we could have just kept it when we had both last year.
Exactly.
Instead, I had to trade we traded like 8 second-round picks for him. So to get him back on the team. Moody had a great game this week as well. It looked like he really wanted some minutes with some of that there with his rebounding, especially in the games. That's what caught my attention the most about him. What do you think about some of the other matchups potentially here in the West? I feel like there's like a lot of things that could still play. Like the Lakers, they could technically still kind of get in there. Like a Lakers-Grizzlies series, if they played, that would kind of be an interesting one if they got to match up there, just because kind of the banter LeBron's had with the Grizzlies in the past there as well. So that would be kind of a fun one to kind of get into, obviously, with the shade of sharpness in it as well this year. So there'd be like some fun stuff there with the Grizzlies in the LA market they're playing. Denver, I think Minnesota would be a fun one if they matched up in a series. I don't know. Any thoughts? Like, and then obviously you have the Clippers Suns or the Warriors Suns, and that's going to be the biggest matchup to me of the first round, no matter what.
I think New Orleans is going to be a tough out with the way Brandon Ingram's been playing. If they get through the play-in game, I wouldn't want to play them. I know CJ McCollum owns Memphis. I've heard it from Memphis all the last 2 years. Like, he's a Memphis killer. And then the way, like I said before, Ingram's playing, he's been unstoppable. He's just a scoring machine right now.
They're scheduled to play Minnesota if that happened right now in the first. That would be interesting a play-in game, right? No, they wouldn't play. Excuse me, because it's 7 versus 10. I always get that,
it'd be
right?
8 versus 9.
Yeah. So then maybe they would. Okay, so they would play. Yeah, Minnesota at this point would play them, and the Thunder would play the Lakers at this point right now. But we'll see. A lot to get into. A lot to still happen today in the final day of the regular season. So I feel like next week, obviously, we'll have everything we need to get into. We'll kind of break down the playoff matchups at that point, see where the Warriors actually lie here and who they're actually playing. Like I said, I still want that Kings matchup. That's what I want. I still want that Kings matchup.
You've been talking about that one for years.
I just feel like we deserve it. We deserve to have that local matchup at least one time. And so it would be kind of an even matchup this year. Like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like one team over the other was like 1 versus 8. It just feels like it'd be a good matchup. Maybe the Warriors probably would be the betting favorite, would be my guess, but maybe not. Maybe I'd be wrong in that. But if they were, it wouldn't be by a lot. That's my guess. So
I think you have that right on. They'd definitely be the betting favorite. Well, the Kings would have home court advantage and have the better regular season. So yeah, it'd be a great matchup. Both fan bases would be feeling confident going into it.
So to me, I wanted to get into that here a little bit. All right, let's move into what we it was kind of interesting. We went off the air on Sunday morning. Then obviously there was the ladies finals that afternoon here, 12:30 our time. A lot of viewers for that women's final. 9.9 million, I believe, was the number. And outdrew like a lot of men's games. I think they were comparing it to. I saw this year in the tournament. I don't know what the final number for the men's championship game was, but I mean, that's good for ladies basketball, right? And I always feel like it's weird that with college basketball, usually they always do outdraw anything that the WNBA will ever do right now. So it's just kind of a weird, you know what I mean? And I was thinking back to it, I was like, there was a point in men's basketball where that was the case as well. So maybe there's a natural evolution with this thing. I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. The better players come out earlier. I'm not sure how that works over time, but anyways, back to the game. LSU ends up winning, scoring over 100 points. First team to do that against Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes. LSU was fantastic in the game. They just the first half, Carson Widow, she didn't miss. She was 7 for 7. I can't think of the other guard's name off the top of my head, but she didn't miss an elbow jumper. It felt like it all in the second half. And they were competitive, and then Angel Reese did enough on the boards, always making it them enough of a nuisance for Iowa to really. Oh, and they were just in foul trouble. The referee of that game was suspect as well. So the foul trouble, every player was in foul trouble. It felt like in that game as well. So just didn't really have a great flow other than in that sense of it. But they still got a high scoring game. I think it's partially the way Iowa forces the tempo, and LSU was up to the task that game. But a lot made of the last minute of that game, and then afterwards with Angel Reese I guess, giving the little the John Cena thing to Caitlin Clark there
Caitlin
at the
Clark.
free throw line. That's all I saw was that. And then afterwards, you showed some videos of her walking around with it. Took on a life of its own after the game. Listen to a good podcast, DA over there. He did a good job breaking it down this week as well. I don't know, Tyler, your thoughts on that? I'll give my 2 cents here in a little bit.
The whole Angel Reese thing, the girl is a genius. She's a marketing genius. She's like, you look at her Instagram, her top thing, it says entrepreneur, and that's what she is. She used the Caitlin Clark sign and brought it all on LSU after the game. I think it was all premeditated. I thought it was weird, like when I first saw it, but I think it was all premeditated. Bring the spotlight to LSU, get it off Caitlin Clark, and she did it phenomenally. She gained 900,000 Twitter or Instagram followers since that game. I didn't know who she was till she said that I'm too ghetto, too hood, and she had the most NIL deals of any college basketball player, men and women's, at 17. She just marketed herself perfectly. The NIL deal she has is Coach, Amazon, Wingstop, Bose, Sonic, Raising Cane's, JanSport, TurboTax, Calvin Klein. She's not too. Her nickname's the Bayou Barbie. Barbie's like the most highest selling toy of all time. She's very popular. She knows how to market herself, and then everybody wants a quote from her. So her NIL deals are with all this interaction are just going to go up. She already made $450,000 this year, which is $250,000 more than any WNBA player made this year off their contract. And they're only going to go up with all the interactions, all the clicks, all the headlines, all the deals she's going to get going forward from this popularity she's gained from this whole just 10 seconds of the "you can't see me" thing. And when I saw it, I did think it was weird. I was like, "Why is she following?"
You seem like you just thought it was a little weird. Like it seemed like
I did when I first saw it, and then I analyzed it. I was like, "Oh, this girl's just a marketing genius. She knows how to get her money up. She's going to be a millionaire by the time she leaves college."
Okay,
That's where I'm like, okay, this girl knows exactly what she's doing. And now that everything that happens, they go to her and ask for a quote. Oh, Kim Mulkey says we're going to the White House, and they have to ask her. They have to know her opinion on it. Her opinion is what matters in women's college sports right now.
Well, I thought there was just so much else that also came out of the thing with just the media, right? You had some guys like Keith Olbermann, you had some other guys that come out that were just unnecessarily what an effing idiot, just not really thinking through the moment at all, and calling a 20-year-old that right after a championship game is just not. I don't know, just not. It's just not. It's just very. Just not thinking, not really understanding, just thinking you could write anything because you're, I guess, just Keith Olbermann or, I don't know, it's just not something that, I don't know how he thought that would be. I don't know why he played that chess piece.
What if that was like Tucker Carlson? What if that was like Tucker Carlson on the right? How much more backlash? Does it get even more backlash?
Oh, well, I think a lot of people also would just kind of already put him probably in that already group of races too, in that sense. But
I don't think it was a race thing like Keith Olbermann said it. I don't
unnecessary drama. I remember we were watching and I was like, oh, it seemed a little much right at the time. And I can see how you would see that's a little over the top, maybe from a sports standpoint, bragging it. Because not all that's not my nature to kind of go that long with it, right? I just kind of believe in karma coming back to me. So my instincts want to do that. No doubt you get bragging rights. So you have every right to do that. You have every right to talk trash. And I definitely believe in that. I have no issue with that. But I think anybody generally also watching that could say, yeah, that might be a little over the top. That doesn't mean it's over the top in this awful way, just a little over the top, not something we would do, but it doesn't make it this thing to me where it had to create this massive storm. Yeah. I just thought of it some people could argue it's bad sportsmanship. That's fine. That's you know what I mean? That because some people wouldn't do that. They wouldn't teach people to do that. But then there's other people out there would say, I did completely disagree. So I'm good with either one. And I feel like that's because our background in sports has allowed us to see both sides a little bit in that regard. And at the same time, I believe if you talk trash, this is how I feel like she's going to have a massive target on her back. So it doesn't mean that she can't do it. She's allowed to put that target on her back, right? She has every right to do that. My assumption is a lot of players will want to go at her hard the next time they face her because now she has the spotlight and more stuff like you're talking about now. So that's all I'm saying is there's a competitive part of this as well when you do that. And now she's got to live up to that end of the bargain. And in some ways that makes it more entertaining. What do you think about the fact that people were saying this is I said on our college thing, I just feel like if it was the same race, 2 white girls, 2 black, I just don't think it would have got as much drama. That's just how I feel, like 100% real. I just how I feel like I can't see it getting as much play.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Caitlin Clark told the girl to shut the F up against Louisville, the girl who's transferring now. I agree. The race thing plays a factor for sure.
What do you think about Savage saying that she joined Iowa? I thought that'd be
that would be weird. I think she has a better chance of joining LSU than joining Iowa.
That'd be funny too if she joins there. She seems like a Ken Bulkey type of player, right? Angel Reese they together. I don't know. I just think there are so many layers to this, and then I don't know, but I agree with you with the planned out thing. I just don't. I mean, maybe some of it was planned out, but I just don't think in the moment people can, like, in a championship game, like, like how you're like going into it thinking certain things and stuff like that. So I don't know if she planned it out. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't.
Have you ever seen planned out? Have you ever seen anyone follow someone around for 10 seconds?
No, but it doesn't mean it's planned out. It just means she's in the moment, enjoyed it, and rubbing it in her face, which is fine. I don't know if she really. You know what I mean? Like, I just think she was just like, "Take this, lady. I'm the best player right here, not you." Like, I just think that's how it was. And I don't know. I just think that's kind of the way she was walking.
But she wasn't even the best player. Like, Caitlin.
But that's how you had to carry yourself. Like, they felt disrespected that, what was it, Mrs. Biden didn't come into their locker room. They're like, screw that. They weren't even going to go to the White House, which I thought was great. In some ways, like, what do you think of that? That kind of took on a life. Do you think that was planned out? There's no way that. I mean, they did have they had an issue. They had an issue with it beforehand, I remember.
With them not picking them to win the championship?
Yeah. What do you think that was all kind of?
What they're supposed to be picked by everybody to win the championship? Like, I don't know. Like, I just didn't understand. Joe Biden inviting Iowa also was a stupid political move. First off, like, and then second off, why would you invite the losers to join you in the White House? If I was LSU, I would have taken total disrespect by that. Yeah,
no, for sure. I think Iowa took disrespect to that. I don't think they wanted to go away. I mean, they were like, "What the heck? This lady doesn't know anything." So, anyways. I just think it was kind of, we didn't get a chance to talk on it. I know it was, very, as soon as we went off there last week, but I thought it'd be fun for us to kind of break down, give our thoughts on it. You got more with that, with her situation there, with the trash talk in general, sports etiquette. I don't know. I just thought it was something that, like I said, you don't have to, you can think it maybe went a little too far, but I think but people on the media side and people on social media, people took it way too far. Took like the overreaction to like the disrespect. Like, Casey,
I think there was a select
took away from the team. You're saying it brought more on the team.
I mean, no one would still be talking to Angel Reese today if it didn't happen.
Well, he said it took away from the team, like in that moment, like, because all the kind of attention went to her. But you're saying in some ways that's not how you saw it, though.
No, I thought she brought the attention to her and her teammate. Well, maybe not even her teammates, but to her. I think that benefits her wholeheartedly.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
There was a little backlash at first. That'll get overblown and carried. Like, it was only a select few people who really had a problem, and they had a big voice. Like, most people.
Who knew You Can't See Me had a women's finals when it took on this much noise with it? Who knew? All right, let's keep it moving here.
Pointing to a ring finger.
Exactly. Who knew that would have mattered that much?
Like, did you watch the Izzy Adesanya celebration? It's a little different. Fighting's a whole other level.
Yeah, fighting's a whole other world. Yeah, I did see that where he pointed through the arrows at him.
Yeah. 3 arrows. Like, crazy.
Good night. Hey, Tiger Woods.
Not one complaint of that either, by the way.
Tiger Woods, he calls it here round 3. Says he can't physically go, throws in the towel. It looked like he was struggling most of the way. He said the other day he doesn't know how many more Masters he has left in him. Kind of not just about him, but I was looking at it like I was talking to Xavier about like him and Michael Jordan. He was saying how good he is, and I was like, it's hard. It was like he's just in the clutch in golf. You can't understand how good this guy was, and like how easy he made it, and how clutch he was at times. In a sport that is so difficult. Like, you know what I mean? That's the thing. Like, with pressure, that sport. And you see it with all the pros out there too. It's very rare that they win for that many years and that consistently. I will say this: in thinking of Tiger Woods, I saw this thing with Jack Nicklaus. He started out with the honorary swing. They kind of did something on him, and I'm reading a book that his son wrote on him. So it kind of made me think about it too. Everybody thought Tiger Woods, and I know our generation kind of thinks of it as the best player, but Nicklaus still has 3 more than Woods if you think about it. It is kind of, what I mean? I just but in that regard, how great Woods is, but then you forget Nicklaus, who's getting older, he still has 3 more. Somebody said, who would you put if you had a putt for your life? Who would you take, Tiger or Jack Nicklaus? I don't think you can go wrong with either of that one. What do you think about the Masters there with it? Tiger Woods shutting it down, Koepka, Rahm at the top of the leaderboard. To me, this is my favorite golf tournament usually of the year.
Yeah, especially when it falls on Easter Sunday, it adds a little excitement. Everyone gathers around the TV, especially if it's a close match. The Tiger Woods point you brought up, his longevity is the amazing part. Jordan Spieth had a year run, a year and a half run. Rory had a 2-year run. Tiger did it for a decade and a half of just playing unbelievable golf, being must-watch TV in a sport that doesn't draw numbers like that normally. This Masters has potential to be a great one if Jon Rahm can make it close and have that LIV versus PGA ending. Rahm versus Koepka, both big guys that can drive it far, who are have won majors before. It has potential to be great.
The only thing it lacks is it's not at the U.S. Open for that, or a little bit more fan hatred. I think a little fan, maybe it's a little bit more booing or something like that. I feel like the Masters would be a little too civil. Let's just put it that way with some of it there. So that'd be the only thing I miss with that. But it should be a good tournament the rest of the way. I was thinking about how hard that golf course would be to play. I just saw Koepka hit one on the green, on number 9, 10 feet past the hole, and it still rolls backwards off. I was like, good God.
I have a question for you. How close do you think you'd have to be put to make the cut at the Masters? You tee off from 160 out or 155, or where do you think it would be where you think you could make the cut?
You mean yardage wise or strokes?
Yeah, yardage to start.
They'd have to give me at least 200 yards every time.
So where are you starting every hole? And you think you could still make the cut? See, I don't even think I could putt good enough.
Probably not, but that's at the very least what I did. I would need at least 40 strokes.
See, I said I'd have to be 30 yards off the green, and I think I could make the cut. I wouldn't win the tournament, but I think I could chip it on.
Yards. Yeah, I would need more.
No, 30 yards to the hole.
Oh, you're saying far from the hole. Gotcha.
Yeah, I need 300 yards, 450 on some holes.
I was thinking from every tee spot, just give me 200 yards closer. Wherever the tee box is, give me 200 yards closer. Then I'll be in better shape. I don't know. I just think Tiger Woods, I was thinking about him with him. Every time I watch him play, knowing he's getting close to the end, you can see it.
Oh, yeah. Did you see the video of him limping around?
Yeah, that car accident took a lot of – he'll probably still play some tournaments here or there, just maybe some of the big but I just – might be hard for him. I don't know. We'll see if this is his last Masters. I doubt it. I bet he'll play at least a few more here before he calls it quits.
Yeah.
I don't see him just –
He still made the cut.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with it. Who was the other guy that made the cut? That was an old guy. Was it somebody who was 63? It's not Tom Watson, but he was the
Gary Player.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No, it's not.
I don't know.
Gosh, Fred Couples. That's what it was like the ultimate white golfer. Fred Couples. The nice easy thing. The hair there.
So your dad's dad's golfer.
No, my mom's dad's favorite golfer was Arnold Palmer. That's his. Not because of the drink. We got that. All right. Hey, what do you think about the Mavericks? They're dumpster fire. Everybody's saying they should trade Luka. You think they should? And they're like, he'll request a trade in 2024. I'm like, what? He's not going anywhere. I can't see it. Can you?
I mean, I could see him requesting a trade, but there's no way they should trade him. I'm not even the biggest Luka guy, but he's still a top 8 player at worst.
Where would he go? I said he should go to the Hawks for Trae Young.
I mean, that's a good troll, but there's no way
draft trade
him for Trae Young. You can't trade him. What are you getting back? You better get 2 Mikal Bridges and a decade of first-round picks. I said, it's not in the cards for anyone to make the trade. It wouldn't make them better because they'd be giving up too much. And if I wouldn't trade.
No, and to the Kyrie fault part thing. It's not Kyrie's fault. This thing was already going downhill before he even got there in some regards. This isn't like his issue with it overall. It's kind of you can feel like the Mavericks organization. You know, they had that scandal a few years ago where they had to go through that with it. It just seems like they're a little bit off. They used to be kind of felt like a new model franchise for a little bit there. But it seems like the last few years they've kind of fallen off. But when I say that, it's like, no, they didn't fall off because they won the Western Conference. They made it to the Western Conference. You know, you kind of forget about those things. Like they were in the Western Conference Finals last year. That's why this trade stuff to me it's just too far fetched. I don't know if keeping Irving would be the best move for them long term is either. I think with him and Luka, I think there's a better fit if they could figure out a better. I think he needs a big. I think that's the key with it. I know
Dwight Powell doesn't cut it.
No, he needs more. And the Christian Wood thing and Jason Kidd, they do a great job at 3 the Hardaway talking about it. So they got that. Zion, what do you think about him being traded? I think that I don't think he should go any. If I'm the Pelicans, I hold on to him too. I don't think it's worth it to move him. And I mean, obviously you get a great deal, sure, but you get my point. Like I think they're going to get lowballed with anything for him.
Yeah, I'm not trading Zion either because his value isn't where it should be. He's a better player than where his value's at. And we saw him play last year. He was unbelievable. He was unstoppable. He's 6'8". He is thick as a bowling ball. You can't move him, and he gets wherever he wants on the court. Who are you getting again? What are you getting back? It doesn't. None of it will make sense.
That's why some of these conversations I always like to just throw out because they're topics during the week a little bit here. But I'm with you full-heartedly. I don't think you're not going to. It has to, even if it's a request. That's what I'm tired about with the NBA, like the player request thing. Like it is getting annoying. Like I don't know all these end things, but I know everybody's more player friendly in these regards. I get it, right? We all want to be. We're all employees. We're all employers. We always want the best for the common man there. But these aren't the common man. You know what I mean? Like it's just like that's why my guy Moody. I got to shout him out this week. My favorite quote was like he's like, well, if I was a senior still, like you know what I mean? Like when I was a senior, when I was going in college. You have grad students that played all the way till they were seniors in college, right? They would go through the process to get more playing time. He's like, that's how I feel in the NBA. I got drafted as a rookie, and I'm kind of waiting my turn to get there in some ways. And we don't really have that mindset anymore with the NBA as like players anymore. Which everything's like so now with it all.
Before we move on from basketball, I want to get back to Kyrie Irving.
Well, I was going to go CBA next. I got to.
Let me ask you a question about Kyrie. Where does Kyrie Irving end up next year if you don't see him adapt? Where would your prediction be? Because I don't think too many teams will take on his contract he's going to demand, and I don't think he's going to play for some loser team. So
I honestly could see him with the Nuggets. Like
if they could afford him, I don't know their cap situation.
Here's how I see it. Because a lot of people don't think they're going to win this year, right? A lot of people think they're going to go out, and then it's like, well, now Denver really has to do something. And maybe they take a risk. Murray's not the guy. I don't know. That's kind of where I would go with it. That would be my projection there.
Okay.
So the last thing with the CBA, we talked about the tournament last week a little bit with like the tournament. So there'd be 2 extra games like that would be played for there'll be like 4 teams remaining. They'll do this pool play through regular season matchups. And that's how they'll get to the Final Four. So it'll be like, instead of having less games, there's potential for more. That's basically what they've ended with it. The postseason awards, Tyler, you have to play 65 games. They said they put some rules in so people can't manipulate that rule. So I'm interested to dig into that a little bit more. Like, play 1 quarter. Are you eligible? Does that give you a game? Like that kind of stuff at the end. So you have to play 65 out of 82 games. We'll see how much of a factor that is for guys. How much of that all NBA that should matter to those players a little bit, I would think, for them. So there's a lot of players that wouldn't qualify this year,
especially in the early parts of your career when you're looking for that huge contract. And if you make an all NBA team, you're eligible to make that $300 million or whatever that number is now. It's such a big, it's life-changing money for generations of your family. I don't know how well it'll go over. I saw that Kevin Durant's almost shooting 60% from the field, 40% from 3, 97% from the free throw line. It doesn't count. I didn't play 65 games. So the players are already upset about it. We'll see how it goes. It is what it is. But the tournament thing, so the regular season games, some of them will be just docked as pool
Yeah,
games? Or
exactly. So there's no like extra
okay.
games in the regular season. So it's like basically how you do in the regular season, you get to these. But to me, and I guess Adam Silver, he said that he thinks it's going to take time too. But I don't know. It's just a weird deal, I guess. Like maybe it gets a few extra views. I'm guessing that's what it's all about, right? TV money and all that. So that's kind of the main stuff that we're right. Like what else do you benefit? Like the players they play less games.
Yeah. The
So
regular season the regular season pool games aren't going to generate any more viewing, I imagine. Maybe those last two, the semifinals and championship will, but
let me
I
ask
don't
you
know.
this. The NBA regular season already, I think if most people like,
Sucks.
even if you're a fan, like it just isn't, the play's good. You can look for things, but you got to admit, like it just doesn't mean as much. There's something that lacks with it a little bit, right? Like that's just how like there's something overall, like the importance of it. To me, it would even go down even more if a team like the Warriors won the championship this year. I mean, the Warriors could have cared less about the regular season this year. Like seriously, they didn't approach it with anything, and then they end up winning the championship. They're going to care about it. You get my point.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like if teams like that get rewarded at the same time, I don't know. Like there's just this weird vibe to me with the regular season that I don't know what the NBA does with it. It's a weird thing. They're trying to add tournaments to it, but I don't get it overall. Hey, let's kind of keep it going here. We're almost done here. Mark Matson, coach of the Cal Bears. I want to point that out. Got him from Stanford there, Tyler. We'll see if 3 wins. You got to get 4 to be better. That should be a nice starting point there. You have 3 wins. So I like that we got him. Tyreek Hill says he's going to retire after 2024 or 2025, I believe. Is that fake news, Tyler?
Definitely fake news. If there's a contract, he's playing.
That's always a good point there. Roger still, he's been working out. He's working out with the guys that are on the Jets. He's not technically on the Jets yet. When will this get done? Is this an NFL draft deal, or is this something that maybe the Packers will just hold over him?
I think there's an NFL draft deal. It seems like the deal is done if he's playing with the Jets. There's just something that's not working for both teams that they're just trying to iron out. I just can't imagine him practicing with the Jets. I know OBJ was brought in and they asked him all about Aaron Rodgers when he was in there. So obviously Aaron Rodgers is playing, and the Jets' plan is to have him on the team. We'll see when it happens. I think it happens at the draft.
I like my guy Carter from the defensive line, the Georgia guy there, saying he's not going to talk to anybody outside the top 10.
Drew Rosenhaus special.
I just love that. I don't know. There's something about that. Like I'm either going to you guys or I'm not going to play in the NFL. I like how the stance there with it. So he's got that with it. Niners, Trey Lance. Would you trade Trey Lance for Mac Jones?
No, hell no.
No, you would not. Okay, so I heard that was on the table this week. So we'll see what that happens.
Oh God, please no.
We got that.
We have enough white quarterbacks that are unathletic.
What do you think early season baseball thoughts are? You guys got facing the Giants yesterday. You guys did a good job with that. Your Giants blew it a little bit yesterday. Bases loaded, no outs in the 8th. I saw that. They strike out. They get everybody out, and then they end up blowing it in the 9th on a pass ball there. My A's off to a terrible start, can't score, but are giving up a lot of runs. So at least they're doing that for other teams, helping them out a little bit. They're undefeated still, 8-0. Good chance of being 9-0 today, the Rays. After this, not the A's, the Rays are 8-0. Any early season thoughts on baseball? Brian Reynolds, Pete Alonso, Kilby this week at Fantasy Baseball each lead the league with 5 home runs. So, what's your thoughts there? Anything jump out to you?
You brought up the Mets, Pete Alonso, Kodai, the pitcher on the Mets they brought in from Japan, just filthy. I was like, that forkball is unhittable. It reminds me of Lincecum, but he throws even harder than Lincecum at the end of when Lincecum was good. So good luck to the Major League Baseball for the next couple of years hitting that pitch.
That pitch when it's on, like that's the problem. That seems like the guys that throw that pitch at some point, they like lose like their arm strength or something with the control of it, and it just like kind of doesn't have the same effect. But man, when I think of guys like Brandon Webb, like at his peak with that pitch, like just it's unhittable. And if you do, you're just grounding stuff into the ground 90% of the day. You know what I mean? Like very rarely are you lifting that ball for anything. So he's nasty. I was talking to our guy Ian about him. Obviously, he likes him. The forkball I said is my favorite pitch. Do you have a favorite pitch?
I mean, if you do it right, I like Devin Williams' screwball. Not too many people throw it, so. And the Ephus pitch is always the most entertaining pitch. Whatever it's thrown,
more than
big news.
Romo, you guys were talking Romo's slider. I'm surprised that like a pitch like that.
I mean, there are nasty pitches, but favorites are the ones that you don't see very often. My favorite pitch of all time is Pedro Martinez Bugs Bunny changeup. Just absolutely filthy. The Grigori slider.
Are you still like with the Giants here? How are you feeling about them early on? Is it the same old, same old?
Yeah, it's not good.
The
I think they're
offense,
gonna.
the offense was a little bit better yesterday, but they strike out still a ton.
The offense is they have their total numbers look like, oh, they're top 10 in the league, but in any pressure situation, they doubled down on the home run and strikeout thing. It makes no sense to me. I
I
thought
heard you
we were
say
going to
that
play a
yesterday. I
new
thought that was
style of
interesting.
baseball, and
Yeah.
we just doubled down on hitting home runs and striking out. I don't know. I
Defense
don't
been
like it.
better?
It's been better than last year, but God willing, if it was worse, I'd be very upset.
Crosby
The
or
bullpen
Ovechkin?
sucks.
Crosby or Sidney Crosby or Ovechkin? Crosby gets his he's the 15th player to ever get 15 or he got that 1,500 points yesterday. 15th player to do it. I was thinking back, like for me, my mind always goes to Crosby's better. Ovechkin though has over 800 goals, and he's got a Stanley Cup too. I don't know, like I know Crosby was hurt more, but there was something about Crosby. I don't know. I just thought he was a little bit better, but that doesn't mean I'm right. It's just kind of how my mind takes. What do you think? I was thinking about those guys. They're getting closer to the end too, Tyler. Two all-time greats here, kind of in our getting to watch them play. What do you think about who'd you rather take there, Crosby or Ovechkin?
I was a Crosby guy, but my brother was always an Ovechkin guy, and he knows more about hockey than me. I saw Crosby scored his 90th point for like the 9th time in a season. I know it was one more than Ovechkin. I'd rather have Crosby. I think winning faceoffs is huge. He does faceoffs. Ovechkin doesn't do faceoffs, but Ovechkin's scoring ability is just better than anybody I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's and his slap shot on like just like a pass is just unreal. But Crosby, I mean, just the way he made plays, and I remember him killing the Sharks, obviously in the final. Just like that whole team, just that year they played him in the Stanley Cup. I was like, God, the one team we have to play, the Sharks. They got to play them. I saw something else with McDavid was like the first player in 27 years to get 150 points. Obviously, we're not big hockey people, but you see stats like that, you're like, dang, that's like. I don't know.
Points a game.
Yeah, like maybe this guy's not the next Gretzky, not nobody's him. His stats are just one of a kind. But like you start to see stuff like that, you're like, well, maybe he is like just like a ridiculous, 150 points in a hockey season. That's insane.
Yeah, he was tied with Crosby already on seasons with 90-plus points. I was like, yeah, he's a special player. He's one of the best to ever do it. 150-something points. You play 82 games. That's like a goal and a half, or a goal/assist and a half a game.
Sandlot, 30-year anniversary yesterday. They said that one of our favorite childhood movies. They said you obviously you do talk thinking baseball with Josh. You guys talk about that once in a while. Facing the Giants, Josh Lewis, but he also does that podcast, Thinking the Baseball there on Variety Sports Network. What do you think about that 30th anniversary there? That movie, hard to believe, 30 years, man.
Just classic scene after classic scene. You can watch it from any point of when it turns on.
What's a couple movie that stick out to you the most? Like, what you think it scenes?
I think the one you posted about the talking trash. You mom bombs out for apples in the toilet and she likes it. You play ball like a girl. The pool scene where he assaults that poor lady. But some things don't age the best. The whole
the swim scene, the lifeguard scene is like it looks like a dead fish. And then like when he like winks at him, like they're like, what the that part, like that whole scene is just like get out of here, you little pervert, get out of here, little pervert. Kicks it out of there, and then like I don't know, that whole thing. No, you're right, that scene is good.
The part where the twins are repeating themselves with Babe Ruth nicknames and like they're trying to explain who Babe Ruth is. Oh, I thought you said Bambi. Stupid deer.
Yeah, not that whippy deer. Yeah, that was cool as well. Are you telling me you wouldn't grab an autograph by Babe Ruth? Babe Ruth. Yeah, that was always good.
Sold the SWAT.
So yeah, so many good classics. I thought we had to point that out with it. Just I don't know, like just one of those movies you'll have. I mean, my kids have already seen it. I'm sure they'll show their kids that movie. Just kind of hard not to relate to that movie at some time. So that one will always be one of the all-time classics, no doubt about that one, Tyler. No doubt.
What a perfect release date, also, like April 7th, right in the beginning of baseball season. Another classic.
I remember I saw it. I can remember where we are. I can remember where I was when I saw it. And I was like, what, 8 years old? So it's crazy.
The first place I saw it was probably a year after it came out, and it was right before the Super Bowl, before the 49ers played the Chargers in '94.
Okay.
That's the first time I saw it. Another classic baseball movie, Major League, came out on the same day 4 years earlier. Just the timing of these baseball movies coming out is
That one not as kid appropriate.
nope. But a classic in its own right.
Especially when they take off the last piece. We don't want to see it.
Lou Brown.
They can see the A's can't do that with John Fisher. It's not the same.
They need to bring back Martin Shot.
They do that with John Fisher. Put that on there with Mark John. That was, yeah. We prefer John in this case. We prefer John. We don't want Marge on that one. She's got like a cigarette out of her mouth. Jump in there. Oh, that's good. Oh, I saw Machado and Otani both got the warnings. Machado got ejected. I was on seventh inning stretch. Josh Lewis was saying that the other Josh was saying that I think the umpires are getting a little sensitive. They're getting sensitive in every sport. Basketball, they're ejecting people and giving them technicals for worse stuff. Well, I like the video though where Machado's like, he calls him a douchebag, the umpire, then the umpire throws him out, and then Bob Melvin's like, he was calling me a douchebag. Yeah, he was like trying to tell them. Like, can you imagine the umpire like, oh, okay, never mind. I didn't know that.
You're talking to your coach.
You're a douchebag. No, he was telling me. I was a douchebag. I don't know. I just thought that was funny. I think we're going to see a few more ejections as the year goes on. Definitely evolving this.
Yeah.
I just can't wait for like, it's going to happen. You just know it's going to happen for the last out. At some point, right? The ice will be broken with that. And the minor league game and the one that happened in spring training doesn't count because that made it a tie game. I mean, we're talking like to end the game. That's what I want to see. Like, that will be very interesting. I don't see it happening for a while there.
How great is this? How great is the time limit thing? Like in the late innings where it's not a minute a pitch, like. The first 6 innings was normally pretty fine, but the late innings used to be so horrendous. It was like an hour an inning at points.
I don't like waiting in line. I don't like traffic. You know what I mean? Like baseball just cut. As I like to say, they cut the fat. They cut the fat out, right? They did. They did. Nobody like. There's no BS anymore. It's just get to the mound. Look, throw, you get a timeout. You know, it's still like 15 seconds, still plenty of time to make a pitch to the mound. If anything, so I think it's good. The stolen bases are up. So I like all that. All right, we're close to the end here. Let's get to our winners and losers of the week. Tyler, what do you got maybe for losers of the week? You want me to go first or you got one?
I got one. My loser of the week is the Trailblazers organization. The talent they put around Damian Lillard is just pathetic. And Damian Lillard kind of let him do it by always saying, I'll be here. I'll be with the Blazers. I'm loyal. He seems to be getting fed up finally, which is good for him. I hope he leaves the Blazers because the organization has just put up a shitty product. They're supposed to lose by 17 at home.
And the Warriors, I mean, obviously the Warriors want this game though, so that's part of it well. So, that's a good call there. I got the Trash Pandas. It's a AA affiliate baseball team. They threw a no hitter and they lost 7-5. Yeah, you heard that right. They had 5 walks, 4 hit by pitches, and 3 and multiple errors that cost their team. So they gave up 7 runs and threw no hit. They won the other game because it was a doubleheader, and they gave up 1 hit, and they won that game. So they gave up 1 hit in doubleheader, they lost. So a 7-5 no-hit performance. Tyler, that seems like that's pretty hard to do. That's pretty hard
like a little league game.
That's pretty hard to try and do right there. Yeah. I was watching some of the video. They were just pegging people on the calf muscle, just sliders inside. So the Trash Pandas, you get that, Tyler. I also had to have the Mavericks in there. We mentioned, I'm going to give her the nickname JB from earlier. We mentioned her. She's gonna be a loser of the week as well. You can't. But we're all winners. We know that. So that's the part there. Tyler, you got winner of the week here?
Yeah, I went with Izzy Adesanya with the knockout of Pereira. He lost to him 3 straight times, and he fought a different fight. The coaches did a good job. They didn't want him to just tap him the whole time. Like, you actually have to hit him, try and knock him dead, and he did it. And then another winner is Jorge Masvidal. As he lost the fight, but he went out with grace, and he said he's hanging him up. He's retired in his hometown, multimillionaire, came from nothing. What a career From backstreet brawls with Kimbo Slice to the UFC.
Crazy.
Success.
That's sport, like, you know, like with guys like that, you know, that's the fighting game. Like, to think about like where his first mindset was, probably his first 20 fights compared to was his last 20, right? Like, just a different, like, it's just, but yeah, one of the best fighters fan wise in terms of trying to go for the knockouts. So he is always a fan favorite, but I think it's good he calls it quits as well. He obviously had lost his touch, and he said it really well at the end. He knew it. So I think he did a good job, obviously, with that kind of ending it. I got winner of the week. I got the Rays, obviously, going 8-0. And then I got the Masters music. I kind of say that with sarcasm.
Really tickles the twine.
Just we're watching it yesterday, Levin. She's like, they show the scoreboard and like they had like white flowers on them. She's like, what the hell is this? She's like, why is the music so emotional? Like, what? I was like, I have no idea, but I was like, it's the idea. Like, they play golf and you're just soothing out there. The landscape, you're supposed to enjoy the landscaping. So the Masters landscaping, you got to admit that the music is kind of a little over the top, right? At times, or am I wrong?
No, yeah. It's very over the top. It's golf. Everything's over the top.
Hana also hates it because I just go around the whole week saying the Masters on CBS.
Tradition like no other.
So I probably say that at least 100 times this week. So that's probably part of the other reason I went to it. So, all right, that's the show for this week. Tyler, was a fun one, kind of going over different topics, touching on different sports there. I think next week we'll probably be a little bit lasered in on the NBA playoffs a little bit. Now we'll know who the Warriors have. Kind of get into those scenarios, maybe go over some of the awards a little bit as well. And until then, I hope everybody has a good Easter today. Until next week.
Happy Easter.
Tyler, peace.
Peace.